Monday. Welcome to our company huddle. I am stoked to have Benjamin here as our co-host. Let's give him a hand. Yes. And I want to say happy Father's Day to all of you that are fathers or do the duties of a father or have someone that you treat as a kid, as a father. So we honor you and celebrate you the day after too. Also wanted to recognize Pride Month here on Maui and nationally. So yay. We definitely love and respect our LGBTQIA plus community, and we are the most inclusive company on Maui. And just wanted to ask you guys, what's one thing you could do to show respect for that community? Can you think of anything regarding real estate? What about bathrooms? Do you say his and her? Or could you say two bathrooms? His and his, hers and his. Just be mindful as you're using the language and talking about real estate, not to prejudice towards one type of relationship. So just, yeah, wanted to honor, we had a panel the last few years and look forward to doing that again. Benjamin?
Oh, no, nice. Yeah, there's a camera. I was saying nice. Hi.
Okay, so Benjamin is our co-host. I'm super excited for you guys to get to know him better. I'm a super fan. I actually had some clients that I had said, there's the best deal in Kihei, you've got to see it. And they were like, oh my gosh, we've been stalking this place for 3 months. Oh, and I knew Benjamin was doing an open house there. And I called Benjamin, I said, Benjamin, can you help? And he did an amazing job taking care of my clients, selling their listing and getting them into the home. And I just saw him function at the highest level professionally. So thank you for being here. It was
one of the most exciting transactions I've ever seen. There was multiple fantastic learning opportunities that occurred.
Yeah, right.
And so it was a really good thing, especially when they were over and we actually finished it because of all the wonderful learning opportunities that we did have. So yes. Yeah, it was great. It was really great.
Thank you for taking care of my special clients.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm interested, Benjamin, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into real estate.
How did I get into real estate? Well, I've been into real estate. So I started out real estate from the investment perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I decided about 12 years ago that real estate was going to be my main investment vehicle.
Nice.
And so then in 2015, when I was in Shanghai training yoga teachers, my wife and I had been figuring out where we were going to make our first real estate purchase in the United States. And she said, she came home one day, she says, what about Hawaii? Because you may have heard that the United States is far from Asia, right? And so like it had been something that had been kind of challenging for a while to think about where in the United States to invest in property. And we didn't really think about this most isolated population center on earth here in Hawaii. And she comes home one day and I was like, oh yeah. The next thought was, we should probably visit there first.
That's funny.
So we made an appointment to visit here about 15 months later after that conversation. So in the beginning of 2017, we made our first trip here and we're like, yeah, this is the place. And then in the beginning of 2018, got our first property here. And then just before COVID, got our second property here and then I had a first class round trip ticket from Honolulu to Shanghai for freaking $1,700 and then they canceled it. Oh my gosh, it was the best deal ever. And then they canceled my work visa.
Wow.
So I couldn't return home. And then for all of 2020, we had 2 mortgages, which was awesome. If you ever want to have 2 mortgages with no work, like it's a really great experience. You should definitely try it. And the way I approached to deal with that was to surf about 250 days in 2020. And so everything was good because I was surfing. And then, you know, I was waiting for things to finish, and I was waiting to get back to my previous life. And then I was like, because I'd actually read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent in like 2014.
Wow.
And then I used, you know, I trained yoga teachers and I actually used the one thing as one of my I want to say coursework materials, but a lot of what I got from the One Thing as a book, I used to teach in my yoga trainings. And so I'd kind of been, I was probably the only yoga teacher on earth that wanted to become a real estate professional, you know? In 2020, like in later 2020, when we were still locked down here, I was like, well, I might as well at least take that test because I have time. So I did the real estate exam, got my license, and then thought, well, I'm still here on Maui. I probably need to make some money at some point. Let's maybe see if I can get into real estate as a profession. And then it was almost 3 years ago, like 3 weeks ago, that I signed on to Keller Williams. So
amazing. Congratulations on two investment properties before COVID. That's, I'm sure, has done very well for you.
Yeah. It's definitely, it was the saving grace to losing the coolest career ever, was to have a significant jump in property value from real estate.
Yeah.
So it definitely kept me from getting depressed a lot.
Yeah.
So I recognize that. So thank you.
That's amazing. Yeah. And we're all different. I love that about real estate, that we can all succeed using our superpower. It's just figuring out what that is. And so I would ask you, Benjamin, what do you think is the secret to your success, your superpower? Because you survived by past 2 years, you're doing great.
So I'm not successful. Not yet. I'm doing okay. But I don't feel successful enough. So I wouldn't say the secret to my success, but the secret to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And the secret to my life is perseverance. Like, I just keep going. I never stop. I actually have, I've been to Asia 5 times in the last 8 months, and 10 months, I guess. And I still dabbling my toes into that world, but yeah. I'm just, don't stop. We talk about it a lot on the 808 team.
Yes.
How do you fail in this game? How do you fail as a real estate agent? How do you fail at this in this industry? Well, you stop, you quit, you don't do it anymore. That's the only way to fail. Otherwise you just keep going. You learn every time you make a mistake. Every time you don't get that listing, I had like 10 of them last year I didn't get. Oh, every time you don't get a listing, it's like, okay, well, how do I learn from that? How do I figure out what I did wrong? What can I do better next time? Every time I find out a buyer purchased a property with somebody else, like, oh shoot, I believed what they said, and so I did everything as they had suggested to me that they were looking for, and actually they got something else that they described that was beyond what they wanted, and so whoops, like, learn from that. So just keep going, keep going. Like, I don't know if I have a superpower in real estate, but I have a superpower in life, is just keep going.
Yeah.
Perseverance. That's where it's at.
So one of the reasons I asked Benjamin to come up here is I had the experience in the Kihei office of being able to overhear him call clients. I'm so impressed with how he was on the phone that I purposefully sat by him in bold, because I'm like, I want to learn from this guy and how he does so well reaching out cold call. And so tell us a little bit about your favorite type of call that you have had success making.
The most successful calls, or the most successful, I guess we're talking about phone calls, which has been my greatest amount of success come from calling, circle dialing. So there's a lot of different ways to circle dial, right? A couple of years ago, the way to circle dial for me was to look at a property that sold recently, and then to call people and tell them about it. Like, hey, did you hear about what happened in your complex? We got a new record high price. And 2 years ago, it worked really well because prices were still significantly increasing, And so it was always a way to just be like, hey, just wanted to make sure you know what's going on in your complex and you're aware of these values because they're still increasing significantly. Like, oh yeah, I know about that. Oh no, I didn't know about that. Tell me more, and it was a really great way to have conversations. And then one thing that I learned, because I did that a lot and then got off the phone, it's like, we were having a great conversation, then bye. There's no results. So I started thinking about, well, how can I do that, get into rapport, because rapport is where it's at. Because if you want to do deals with people, they have to know you, they have to trust you. Generally, they have to like you, So get into rapport so they can feel like they know me a little bit, they trust me a little bit. And then now that they trust me a little bit, maybe they like me a little bit. Well, so obviously prices are still going up. Have you ever thought about selling your place? And that worked a lot, actually. I got several deals, several listings in the last few years just by getting into rapport, connecting, and communicating in such a way that they can see that I'm actually not trying to take from them. Because let me tell you, when you're cold calling people, a vast majority of them, their initial responses say bleep, 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 right? So whenever I would get that, I'm like, no, I'm not actually like, I'm not, I'm actually calling to share with you information about your complex. And literally it went from more than half the people want to tell me to stick it to 9 out of every 10 calls that I would make would end up with me feeling like it was a good conversation and there was no negativity. And I still got 1 out of 10, but 1 out of 10 I could handle. 5 out of 10, I would get depressed and I would feel awful about myself and I wouldn't be able to do that, you know? So, but that last sentence, be like, you ever thought about selling? You know? And a lot of people actually have, and they're not going to say, well, you know, and a lot of people like people that are recently divorced, you know, and they kind of have to sell. They don't really want to sell, but they kind of need to. Like it's a great way, and to focus on offering value via circle prospecting. Circle prospecting is hard these days because the market has shifted. So I've been trying to brainstorm on a different way to actually have conversations with potential clients, and I haven't got it. So if you know anything or you have any ideas of what working, please share with me. I'd love to apply your fantastic ideas. You know, R&D, rip off and duplicate. So if somebody is doing something that works, try that. Right?
Yeah. I've learned by listening to him. I'm obviously not super chill. And
you're not super chill?
I'm working on it. I'm working on the mirroring and slowing down. And so listening to Benjamin talk to people, he's just like their friend and very much coming from a place to help. So it's helped me on all the calls that I have to make, just like, okay, do the Benjamin vibe. And
interesting, because I thought I was like Sasha, not too chill. But she's describing me as kind of chill, so
perception.
It's just the chill in terms of how you talk to them.
Okay,
you know, you're very, very much just like have all it. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. One last question. Oh, Liz has a question.
You mentioned in class listening to music and I get to dance.
Oh yeah. Right.
Like,
right.
Confidence.
Yeah.
So that's something I think about.
Yeah. Well, it's whenever I make phone calls, like, how you feeling right now, Tim?
Not bad.
Not bad. Not bad, but like you're sitting, energy's kind of down. And if you were to, I mean, it's your energy is definitely not like up and full of energy, right? You're a chill person.
That's chill.
So I found out that when I would sit down, I would get on the phone and I'd be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Benjamin here. Just wondering how you're doing. Have you heard about what's happening in your complex there? And they'd be like, why are you calling me? Right. So what she's talking about is when I taught the class, I mentioned that what I would do is a standing desk for me is super important, because if I sit down, my energy is going to drop. And then even if the other person doesn't experience that I'm low energy, like I'm going to experience that and I'm going to feel like it's going to impact my state. And so what I would do when I'm doing the cold calling is I would put on my music, crank it. Right. And if you ever use the dialer, there's a screen. I use the multi-line dialer and it clicks to green just as the person answers the phone, right? So it's music down. And then all of a sudden it turns green, I'd pause it, like, aloha, Tom, how are you doing? It's Benjamin with the 808s. Right. And so and for me, that's really important, because if I'm going to be making phone calls, like I have to feel like I have the energy to be doing that. And I try it sitting down and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
I feel like I just like want to, you know, like watch a movie or get lost into like something that isn't interactive. So yeah, that was a really good thing. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, same. I have to stand up. It's definitely awesome. Okay, one last question. And I'll ask any of you that like to host this. What would you tell your day one realtor self? What have you learned since you started that you would?
Well, R&D, like figure out what people are doing that works and do that. And what people are doing that works that I find out is they're doing open houses, they're making phone calls, and they're like, some people are doing farming, but farming can be very financially intensive. It can be a lot of check equity as compared to sweat equity. So sweat equity is you do the work, so like open houses and phone calls, whereas like geofarming, it takes a lot of check equity. Like you got to put a lot of stuff out there. Even if you, so there's a couple different ways to do mailers. You can pay somebody else to send out postcards, which I find is about the, I mean, unless your postcards are extremely compelling, it's a really good way to increase a lot of trash in the landfill and make tiny impact in people. But if even if you take and you handwrite your own envelopes and you actually prepare something of significant value and mail that to people, like that still requires, how much do stamps cost these days?
Yeah.
What do they cost? 64 cents or something?
Yeah.
A lot of money, right? So it requires a lot of money. So yeah, definitely.
Thank you. And would you mind reading our mission statement here? As a
our mission statement is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. So
give Benjamin a hand. Thank you.
That's right. That's right.
Very cool. So we love to share that. You could stay up or come down.
Okay.
Yeah. Take a look at the stats. This is so impressive. Look at the middle one, closed production sell side. RAM month over month percentage change went down 9%. We were up 56%. This is what that jumpstart trading does for you. This is what our culture does. Learning from agents, pretty awesome. And then closed production total, RAM was down 9 and we were up 37. So good job, everybody. Yeah. Out of office, Keone, please allow him the opportunity to enjoy his vacation. We have replacement brokers in place June 15th through the 19th, and Teresa's out 18th through the 24th. If you have trouble getting a hold of anyone, don't hesitate to reach me. I'm a super fan of responsiveness, and I understand you need that broker signature sometimes right away. And if they are not answering you, I can always call them as well. Okay, you guys have been asking for this class. Buyer consult. I'm stoked to let you know today, Chad, who's an amazing professional. He's not only the team leader, president over on Oahu, he is their principal broker. And he is someone you will learn from. He has created a buyer packet and is going to walk you guys through that. So if you want to pop on before Ninja, you could still do 12 to 1 and then do Ninja, or go ahead and enjoy the entire class. I'll leave that up there so you can register. I have a treat for all of you. If you were at the GMM, let everybody else participate. We have a quiz, and I'm going to call on you, and you get to ask your neighbors, and we're going to let Zoom participate too. And I understand for Jumpstart people, it's stressful enough. If you were in the room at the GMM, Kimo was calling out people and asking them questions, but we can do this as a group. So first question, and you should have one of these in front of you. True or false?
False.
A winner. False. Hadrian, a seller real property disclosure statement is not required for vacant land. Hadriel, our newest agent, congratulations, the winner on that one. You get to pick a t-shirt. Medium or small. These are the mounts. Yeah. I didn't even put the question. Way to be bold. Question in the chat?
Oh, I have to say I didn't even get to put the question in the
chat. Oh, sorry. Number 2.
True. Wait,
the definition.
Not fair to
No. They're wrong. The definition of a material fact is anything that could affect the buyer's decision to purchase. Take a look at your seller real property disclosure statement. I need a volunteer to read. Oh, Mark. Who? Karen. Okay. Go ahead, Mark, read it, and then we'll go to you, Karen.
And so it's in bold about a third of the way down. It says material facts are defined as any fact, defect, or condition, past or present, that would be expected to measurably affect the value to a reasonable person of the residential real property being offered for sale.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, so Mark, there's an Excel. I don't know if you like an Excel to share it. Way to show up. All right. Okay, next question. Sellers must complete their seller real property disclosure statement by themselves. Sellers are not allowed to have any assistance from their agent or anyone else. Think about that, Karen. Go ahead.
Trying to unmute, sorry. They are supposed to fill it out itself. You are not allowed to fill it out, but the best practice is once they send it to you, you do need to review it. And if you see things are wrong or they're missing something, you can advise them, but you cannot change it and you cannot fill it out.
True or false?
Oh, I guess false.
Yes, false. Good job, Karen. Thank you. Okay, you guys, look at this. Your perfect score almost. Okay, number 4. Under Hawaii law, absentee owners who have no direct knowledge regarding the condition of their property are not obligated to provide a written disclosure statement.
False.
False. Ruby, would you like a medium, red, or small navy?
No, it has nothing to be fire.
I couldn't understand. Could you say that? Could you come up here and say that? So, yeah. We have buyers that do buy sight unseen, and Ruby was saying that they use the seller disclosure statement. Awesome. Okay, last one. I've got one small left. Information regarding suicide, burglary, or other notorious incidents do not affect the physical structure of the property and do not have to be disclosed. False. I have a small, Rosalina. Yes. We like it? Yeah. Okay. Okay, and I'd love to share what Kimo said, and I need Liz, if you wouldn't mind volunteering, to read something for me. Okay. This is the seller real property disclosure statement. Could you just read at the beginning from the start where it says purpose of disclosure statement, that first sentence?
Pursuant to Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 508D for residential real property, a seller of residential real property is obligated to fully and accurately disclose in writing to a buyer all material facts concerning the property.
Stop there. Thank you. Thank you for being brave. Get in your jumpstart. One of the things Kimo said that I thought was brilliant. Do you guys know how many, what percentage of lawsuits come from failure to disclose? Like 70%.
Wow.
So go ahead, Mark, add to that.
Well, I was just going to share, so his explanation really helped because down in bold, just a little bit further down, it says, disclosure statement may exclude information regarding somebody with HIV, etc., right, number 1. And then number 2, if the residential property was the site of an act or occurrence that had no effect on the physical structure, which that's what that question is talking about.
Yeah.
So it says you may exclude those things. However, our attorney, right, it says, so the bottom line is, if you know anything,
Yeah.
and if in doubt, always disclose.
Yeah.
Because it says you may exclude, but then if it goes to court, guess what? You're probably gonna lose.
Yeah.
So you need to disclose everything and don't pay attention to what this thing says you may exclude. That's what I got on it.
Thank you. So Mark said that the paper said we may exclude it, but our attorney's advice is to disclose everything. So thank you for that. And then the other best practice, I love this. He said, actually take a highlighter with your clients that are listing and take one of these and go over and highlight different areas as you talk about them as a professional protocol. And what was the second part of that? Oh, and don't ever say what this means is, because you're not a lawyer, right? You don't want to interpret this. They spent years perfecting this document. If anything, read it to them. Have them read it, highlight it. And then if asked, you can say, I always go over, we highlight, you know, and we talk about it all. And then you're protecting yourself, basically.
The answers to their question are in the document. Read the answer to them from the document.
Love that. Yeah, the answers to the question are in the document. Use the document. It's there to help us. So any comments from Zoom? We'll keep moving.
Well, also, I would like to add, if when you look at reading it to them, instead of saying what this means is, say, what does this mean to you? How do you interpret this?
Yeah.
And then when they tell you, ask more questions, because you can guide them to the self-discovery without providing them, this is how you do it, or this is how it's summarized. And that's number one, is that they need to self-discover and they need to know what they need to ask more questions about. And you can't get to that if you're telling them how to do it. You can only get to that if you're asking the questions so that their thought process can bring them to it.
Love that. Thank you. So Teresa basically said, don't tell them what this means is, say, what does this mean to you? So they can self-discover. Karen, I love the participation from Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyway, this was a great class. I'm a Timo Stone enthusiast because he's a tough cookie, but he's great. And he gives you some real case stories that he's been in, but he denies the fact that they were. But he also taught us in some of his classes as a sideline to seller's disclosure as some of the salient points in the contract. You should do the same thing with the yellow and say, make sure that you read X, Y, and Z. Like, for instance, we don't go to the county and find square footage or X, Y, and Z. That's on them. They should hire a professional, blah, blah, blah. And he also says, whatever you talk over with a client, always follow it up with an email, because then you've got your line of reasoning. God forbid if you go in front of the guy in the black moo, as he says.
Thank you, Karen. That's great. Okay, good. So wanted just to touch on those notes for those of you that weren't at the GMM. It was awesome. We always learn so much. And if you have any questions, ask your coach, broker. Moving on. Let's see, Ninja Selling, the last ones today. It's profoundly helped me personally and professionally. Hope you guys could be here. Again, it is today 1 to 3. Jonathan and April is leading Holly Cow. How are you with volunteers?
We need one more.
Okay, yeah. So April needs one more volunteer. Please let her know. Wednesday, 3:30 to 6. Oh, Ruby, we got it. Okay. And thank you to our monthly donors. This Pauhana, you guys, last Friday was absolutely unbelievable. There was only 5 of us there, and we had a feast to feed all. I actually learned a lot about what they're doing with analyzing the particles in the burn zone. So will be this Friday here in Kahului at 3. Please come. Anything you want to add?
I just want to continue the commercial because these guys really know what they're doing, and they share this information that we need to have.
Yeah.
And they are the experts. So again, we may not answer, but we're going to refer them to experts.
Yeah.
To get an idea what their expertise is. Show up and learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Teresa, for being here and organizing that. The food is amazing. They cook it all from scratch. So you will be fed.
Oh my God. Dawn's cooking. I mean, even if you don't want to learn anything, which you will, her cooking is absolutely outstanding. Now, why is knowing what is important about the fires and its impact on land and houses important to you? Any idea?
Yes, Nicole.
Well, you don't get to sit back there. I had to come up. You got to come up too.
Let's give Nicole a hand, one of our dedicated coaches along with Benjamin. Yeah, I learned so much this last time, you guys. They're analyzing at a really high level, and we'll definitely need it. And Nicole can speak to this for sure.
The reason it's so important is maybe not today, but in 5 years, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, when we go to sell or help clients buy properties in Kula, Upcountry, or in Westside, we need to know what questions to ask. What tests need to be asked? What should we be looking at on these properties? What should be, just to make sure our clients are in the best position and they know everything. On the flip side, on the seller side, what inspections or what tests should we have done so that the buyers are comfortable with buying a property in these areas? Just to make sure we're ahead of the ball and making sure that we have all the knowledge.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome.
Yes.
And I just wanted to mention the new, it's not out yet for sure, but the fire disclosure. So that's going to be there and right in people's faces. And it really, so they're going to have questions because it's disclosed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you need to be familiar with the languaging. You need to be familiar with how to ask the right questions to support both your seller and your buyer. You need to make sure that you understand it, not because you're meant to be the expert in this. We're the librarian, not the library, but you need to be able to provide enough information to be able to guide your clients in a meaningful way. You want to provide value, that is how you do it. So 3 o'clock Friday, don't miss it. It'll be amazing.
And it will feed you dinner, basically. They come with a full, it's amazing. Okay, Financial Mastery 101. This will be at the end of the month. We are looking insider trading the 8%. On Financial Mastery, I have a personal goal that at least one of our agents will get this $100,000 grant from Maui County. Tell me what you guys know about the grants that are happening right now. I have 2 of them right now, and I love for all of you to know so you can tell your clients or get it yourself.
No.
Sora.
There's one being offered by the county. They're still working out the details, and the nonprofit that is going to be dispersing it, but it's going to be $50,000 to $100,000 towards an ohana or an attached or detached ohana. When I spoke to them, they said that the best practice that they really want to see this succeed so we can see it in the budget moving forward. So they're going to be looking probably primarily at first with people who have permits and in the process, not thinking about it, not possibly doing it. They want to see you actually in the thick of it because they want to see this successful, but it is really exciting. They have 200. It was basically 25 if there's 100,000 each. So
yeah,
2 million.
Yeah,
$2 million worth of assets. So it will go fast, but we do. If you know anyone who could benefit from it, it really is good about like getting it out there.
Yeah, my personal goal, if we can give all of you 200 agents this information, maybe one of you could get the grant. Or what would you mean to your client if you brought them this information and they got $100,000 to help them build their it's ordinance 5601. And so currently when I called the number last Friday, like Zora said, they're have a nonprofit that is going to run the whole thing. And so within a couple weeks, we should see a big press release and announcement. That's the time when you want to be, telling your clients about it, be at the head of the conversation. Right now, if you personally were wanting to apply, I would be looking at getting as much as I could together, budget, plans, everything. So that's one. It's called the Ohana Assistance Program. When anybody sees that announced, let's share it with one another on the huddle. I'm hoping one of you or one of your clients can be one of the lucky few that gets that. There's another one. Does anyone know about the Lahaina one? Lahaina survivor one? Okay. This one is the ADU Loan Forgiveness Program. The CNHA is seeking homeowners who are willing to build ADUs. They are giving a forgivable loan of up to $50,000. And the condition is that you rent it to a Lahaina family survivor for 3 years. So this is another one. I've got the email information. Just reach out if you want to know more, but I think it's a great care call. If you have people that have been talking about it, again, I would love for our brokerage to be responsible for securing those. Any questions on the chat? Okay. You guys are quiet today. MLS Mastery, I see we have our Marion on, our broker. Thank you, Marion, for being here. If you'd like to share via Zoom, we'd love it.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So my hint for the day on the MLS is, first of all, in the MLS waiver form, the one that you have to get your client to sign if you take a listing but not put it on the MLS, please read number 3 carefully. Number 3 says that you are obligated and the seller understands you must submit this form and your listing to the MLS so that they're aware of it. So there's people getting fined for missing that little point. And so that's really important, right? The MLS form, once you put the listing on, that'll become aware that it wasn't on originally, and then they get fined. So be aware of that. The same thing is true with the other waiver, right? The one that only uses allows the listing to be on the MLS and nowhere else. Again, that form should be sent to Vincent at RAM. I wanted to say again.
Oh, thank you, Marion.
Yeah, awesome. I wanted to just remind everybody that your search criteria, setting it for all actives, always all actives, to be sure you get those contingent listings, right? Contingent is included in the all active and means you're going to get people who are canceling their escrows, or if there's a bump clause or a release clause. In other words, there's another contract and the seller said, yeah, but if I get a better offer, I have a right to cancel this contract and go with a better offer. So those are actives under the category all active. Be sure to check those.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. Also want to let everyone know we do respect and observe Juneteenth. What is Juneteenth?
The slavery was made regulated. Right?
Yeah, so the Emancipation Proclamation happened, but actually it observes the day when federal troops went into Galveston, Texas in 1865, 2.5 years later, to enforce the release of the slaves. So yeah, honoring the slavery and the Emancipation Proclamation. So our offices will be closed. We do have the lock boxes if you need, and yeah, super stoked that our company observes that day. And stoked to have Teresa back up for the next section.
Okay, so Role Play Wednesday, because it falls on the 19th, will not be happening this week. We will pick up next week, and starting July, the first Wednesday in July, I don't have the date. That's going to be a 7:30 to 8 and a 12 to 12:30. Is what we're looking at. So we're switching the afternoon time. Now with that, before I go any further, I want to play a video for you. And you're not going to see anything. This is off of the podcast of the MREA. It's episode number, I think, 32. Difficult Conversations with Phil Jones. If you have not registered for his Critical Conversations, which is happening on Monday the 24th and with a repeat on Wednesday the 26th, highly, highly recommend it. I know it's going to be 4 a.m. for you. It is 8 hours, but this man is brilliant. Go ahead. RJ, can you play?
Say, why did you write this book?
I think the evolution of this book has come through my body of work today, where I grew up delivering sales training skills to people who didn't see themselves as salespeople. And that meant if I could disguise sales skills in a way that was more palatable to people, that they would be a lot happier to absorb them. And I wrote a pantry of ingredients that would allow people to craft recipes for almost any scenario that they step into in life. And I wrote a book of principles around influence and persuasion and disguised it as magic words. And I woke up 7 days later to 120,000 downloads of it in Kindle.
Why?
I think it's the #1 puzzle that exists inside of most professions, is they can get the theory, they can get the motivation, they can be inspired, they can have their mindset right, and then they get to the moments that matter and they find themselves lost for words. or they step away from the moments that matter and they think shoulda, woulda, could've.
It's so interesting to me because in the first episode, you kind of laid out this idea that most people think of what to say the moment they need to say it.
That's right.
And preparing for the moments that happen repeatedly in your business and your life is kind of the first step. Why do so few people do that?
There's lots of reasons. One is experience. I'd say in the real estate community right now, the experience is costing people more than they're giving it credit for, because they're pretty good at what they do, because they've been doing what they do for a while, because most of the scenarios they actually enjoy digging themselves out of holes and creating chaos to keep the job interesting.
Wow, that's a big idea. You're suggesting that we don't necessarily practice as hard as we can because we create an emergency that we then get to solve, which then creates a dopamine drip and we all get to live through solving a problem.
That's right.
That sounds awful.
And we laugh because there's truth in it, right? Because everybody here in this live recording is like, yeah, I've done that.
Wow.
And it's easier to struggle than it is to do the work to be ready to serve the moments. And you don't get to master this work, you choose to practice it.
Wow.
And I think that's a big thing as an idea that people should give consideration to, is that you have to decide this is a practice. It's not something you do get to master. Just like yoga or meditation, you choose to practice because it's important. So you practice intentionality around language.
Talk to me about influence and persuasion.
Well, first let's talk the difference between influence and manipulation. The difference between influence and manipulation is integrity. It's doing something that you're not doing to them, you're doing for them. That's a big difference. And when you think about a real estate professional in a listing environment, is if they're doing their job right, they shouldn't be winning the listing. They should be helping somebody make the right decision for them about their house, their next chapter, and how you're the right person aligned to be able to get them there. You're not trying to convince anybody into anything. You're trying to help them see for themselves that you're the right choice. And that takes a huge amount more work. That's influence. Influence is being able to go into a conversation and say, I don't know for certain how this is going to work out, but I know with me in it, it's going to work out better, clearer, quicker than it would do without me. And if I don't get the outcome that I'm looking for, I'm still influencing a decision towards what I believe to be the right decision for them.
Okay, stop there. All right, guys. So this is what we're talking about with role play. This is about honing your craft. This is about practicing the words that are meaningful to your client's success and helping them get what they want. This is not going and memorizing a bunch of words that you're never going to use. This is about memorizing a bunch of words in a pantry of ingredients that will help you internalize them and then be able to organically leverage or customize them to your own manner of speaking. But if you don't know what the words are, you're not going to attain the level of success that you want. So I encourage you, starting not this week because we're closed, right? Federal holiday, but next week, join us for role play. Not only will you benefit, but the collaboration will help your colleagues and we can all grow together. Thank you.
I'm gonna put it on my schedule.
Woo. Yeah.
And sign up for Phil's class.
Oh yeah, sign up for, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, sign up for Phil's class. Yes, it's $200. You have a choice of either or both. I suggest both. It's still $200. It is 8 hours. This man is brilliant. He will change not only how you speak, but how you deliver value to your clients. So with that, we're in the last week of Jumpstart. This is all about your business. Today, we're going over GPS 411. Randy Antonio will be having a very similar class, but even better because he's a master. I learn something every time we go to that. His will be on July 11th. Ours is today before Ninja Selling. Then we have tomorrow, we're going to be going over business marketing campaigns and social media. And just so you know, I'm on most of your social media feeds, and the majority of you are not compliant. Most of you do not include your real estate license.
A big number of you don't include your brokerage. Now, this isn't about KW. This is about the state saying that you need to educate your consumer onto who they're working with, right? So keep in mind, again, I follow most of you. You really should be looking at your compliance thing. So just because they haven't called you out on it yet doesn't mean they won't. And there are penalties and fines when they do. So keep that in mind. So tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, it shows here, but we won't be having the open house. We're going to move that to 2 weeks. And that will be open to everyone. And it's going to be open house from inception to execution. And then
April has a question.
April.
Yes, for compliance on social media, do I need to put my license number and brokerage on every post, or is it okay that it's on my page?
You can have it on your page because that identifies you as a realtor. But then when you go and make an open house picture and it just says April, right? Your name, but it doesn't have your license, that's wrong. If it's not about real estate, no, you don't need it. If it is about real estate, you need that. And you've got to look at the imagery, because the imagery can be separated from the content. So a lot of agents think, well, if I put it in the caption, I'm good.
Yeah.
But if it's an image that can be downloaded and shared with someone else, and it has your phone number or your name, and it's about real estate, it needs to also have your license number, your realtor designation. Am I a realtor salesperson or a realtor broker? It needs to have your brokerage, so our logo, right?
Okay.
So if in doubt, go ahead and you can email in. We'll send you the little compliance verb that you need to fit into these, especially with your open houses.
You can always check with your broker.
Yes.
To double check. Yeah.
So the brokerage number too? Or
no, not necessarily the brokerage number, your number, your license, and your realtor designation, right?
Your brokers are happy to review that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Keone has the responsibility for ensuring that we're compliant. So when you go around and say, well, no one's noticed, I've done this for years, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're putting him at risk, and you're putting the rest of us at risk by choosing not to be compliant. You know, that's just the reality of it.
And they're starting to look at it.
And they're beginning to look at it, and there is going to be a financial fine that you may get. Okay, so moving on, doom and gloom. Thursday, we're going over GET. This is going to be offered online. So if you want to refresh how you do your general excise taxes, and are you supposed to? Oh, good question. Are you supposed to, and those in Jumpstart don't get to answer today because we've already had this. On your GET, if you did not make any money during this financial reporting period, do you have to file a report?
Yes.
That's right. So even if you make no money, you still have to file saying that you made no money. Number one thing realtors don't do. Other than that, Friday is graduation. Come and celebrate with our Jumpstart graduates. There'll be snacks, great attitudes, and a lot of excitement, and we'll see you there.
Thank you, Teresa. Okay, we have open house support for those of you with listings. We're not going to match you up. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is another fun one. I'm back. With that, if you have a listing and you're looking for open house support, you need to do this at least once a week and update your open house request. This will not match you with an agent. What this does is provide agents with a list of open house opportunities that they can then reach out to you, and you will self-coordinate. So for agents that want and are looking at open house, you'll see there's a URL. You can have access to that spreadsheet, It is updated real time. So if all of a sudden you've got Thursday or Friday available, I would suggest you reach out to whatever listing agent has an open house available at that time and coordinate. They do not have to give it to you. So please come with a position of contribution. At least look up the apartment or look at the house and the listing and be able to speak to it. Listing agents. If you're looking for support, and I know I keep getting emails and phone calls on this, this is where you put your information. And this is how our company is going to know. And this is available for PC agents or regular agents that you can either put your listing on or you can follow it for being able to do open house.
Awesome, Teresa. West Valley Huddle is going to be amazing. July 3rd, kick off the Independence Day weekend with Colette, and lunch will be provided. It's 10 to 11:30. Randy's class also is sponsored. I'll leave that up there. Those of you that have been, always come back for more because it's so good. Randy's a great example, living life by design. Allie has a schedule. Would you like to speak to this? Nope. Okay, so Monday, Friday, to support the classes, she's here. And then Tuesday, she goes to the West Side to support Fairway Shops. I'm there Wednesday. Then Allie's back here, back in Kihei, Wednesday, Thursday, with AC. That's nice.
Don has his time.
And Dawn.
So on the West Valley Huddle, did that say 10 a.m. to 11?
Yeah, it was Colette's schedule based on her day. So it is earlier this time, 10 to 11:30. She's going to be doing a class and state of the industry. And yeah, great question. We did change the time to accommodate her day.
Okay, and we all know that that's during Caravan, right?
Yeah,
yeah, I know you're stuck by it. I'm just kind of letting everyone know.
I could reach out and see about getting it changed. And yeah, that is a fair point. I'm on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, before we go, this is an opportunity if you have buyer needs or listings that you would like to highlight with our group. We had 39 at one point, 34 online. Aubrey and then Dawn.
Unmute. Sorry. Okay. I have a new listing coming up at Keonakai Villages. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath ground floor unit. It's the largest floor plan in the complex. Large outdoor lanai. I'll get pictures on Friday and go live and hopefully be on Caravan next week. So if anybody wants showing over the weekend, let me know. We're going for $700,000.
Awesome, Aubrey. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Tom, did you have something? No? Oh, okay. Looks like that was the other thing. Karen.
Aloha again. Thank you, Sasha. I think I mentioned this is a coming on market, but it is now officially on market. I have a gorgeous 6,400 square foot property upcountry in Lower Kula. It's kind of right catty corner to Surfing Goat Dairy and the Ocean Vodka. So it's like minutes to the airport, minutes to Surf Spot, and it's on 4.4 acres. So you could turn it into an equestrian resort or grow grapes there or whatever it is that you want to do. You could do gardening or you could just chill and relax there because it's got an amazing, huge workout pool that is long and good for working out. It's got a phenomenal jacuzzi with rocks, around it so you can make a waterfall. And it has this amazing barbecue area with chairs that you can sit around and the barbecue and refrigerator out there so you can have whatever your beverage choice is. But it also has a cabana that has a shower and restroom and changing area, big cabana. And it also has, a separate 2-bedroom ohana that's brand new as of a couple of years ago. He has somebody living in there that takes care of the place, but it would make for a phenomenal rental because it has by the way, it has a gated entrance into the whole 4.4 acres. But additionally, that little ohana has its own separate gated entrance and its own little yard. So, I mean, it really, and then there's a bunch of extra bedrooms. So could have phenomenal rental possibilities. I'm going to do a broker's open in a few weeks, but if anybody has a client, I will make it available. It's $5 million.
Nice, Karen. Congrats on that.
Oh, and bi-coastal views. Big, big, big feature. Bi-coastal from south to north and all the mountains and valleys and everything in between. It's phenomenal views.
Awesome. Benjamin's next, then to you, Colin.
I have a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, Kihei Kahi, 4th floor, unit 410 in the D building. So panoramic ocean views, hotel zoned, which we all know is important these days in a vacation rental because there's a lot of legal vacation rentals that are apartment zoned. So hotel zone, big ocean view, great rental. Come check it out. I'll be in there every day this week except tomorrow until Sunday. And then we just dropped our Kihei Villages 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We dropped it to from $819 to $785. So let me know if you want to check either of those out. They're both really, really great options. So investment or residential, check it out. Give me a call. Thank you.
How much is the Kihei Akahi?
$875.
$875.
Panoramic ocean view. It's all about that view. It's amazing.
Nice. Thank you, Benjamin. Colin. Colin, sorry, unmute. We'll give you a second. Anyone else? Colin, we can't hear you if you want to share. I don't know if your hand's up accidentally. What?
I said Colin has left the building.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, guys, well, have a fantastic week. Thank you for showing up, and we appreciate you, and we're here to support you. Yay.